Now.
Yes.
Welcome, one and all, to V8's Online's live broadcast of the Australian Mixed and Fixed League 5th anniversary race. My name is Reese Gardner, and joining me in the commentary box is Jay Kennedy for this very special event. Jay, this is quite different to many events that we've broadcast this year, hasn't it?
Very, very unique format. Very, very unique event. Hello, everyone. Sorry for a little bit of a strange start to the broadcast. I'm halfway through eating a little bit of dinner, and wasn't expecting me to say let's go, but we're going now. But yeah, it's going to be really, really fun. We've got 5 classes of cars, all very, very similar in pace. The fastest car that you would think is not actually the fastest car at this track, so that's made it really, really interesting. The second class of cars are actually the fastest out on track at the moment, but we're here for 90 minutes of racing, as you said, Reece, with the Aussie Mix and Fix iRacing League 5th anniversary race. Should be a really, really good fun event.
Yeah, it certainly should. Well, currently, this field. Let's just have a look at the variety of cars in this field at the moment. So the top class is on paper the HPD ARX 01C, the LMP2 Le Mans prototype from about 5 years ago. The second class, which is actually on the top, is the Nissan GTP ZX Turbo, the IMSA GTP car from the 1980s, the late 80s, actually. I think it was David Brabham that won a few titles in the late 1980s in that car. Dean Ross currently on overall pole position, a 36.218 in the Nissan GTP. Third class is our old friend, the Chevrolet Daytona prototype, Clint Smith, friend of V8's Online, currently in 11th position overall and heading up the GTP, what am I saying? The DP class standings in 11th place
Might be the
overall.
first time and only time tonight, because I've
Oh,
already had
yeah.
time card we haven't even started. So.
Yeah, crazy stuff. And looking back further in the field, we go to the more GT sort of part of the field, and it looks like a very interesting battle between two classes at the moment. Chris Whitaker currently on pole in the Ferrari 488 GTE class as we see the session finishing up for this 90-minute race. And then only about 4 tenths behind Dan Karakonstantis in the Audi 90. So we've got the two IMSA cars from the late 80s, the Nissan and the Audi, headed up against the HPD and the Ferrari 488, respectively. So that's crazy enough already. And then you've got the Daytona prototypes in the mix as well, which really they're sort of on their own in their class. So it really should be interesting seeing this race get underway as we are now gridding.
Yeah, checkered flags now out. I think the guys are just finishing their final flying laps.
Ah, yes.
Edward Van Velsen, the fastest driver out on track at the moment. So I'll jump on board and listen to this amazing Nissan GTP at XT.
Yeah,
Really,
absolutely
really,
fantastic
it
car.
was such a strange car to get in iRacing too. It was one that was completely out of left field that we were not expecting at all to come into the. Got this car out there.
Yeah, this car's basically just one giant downforce generating tray. Have a look at the. Oh no! Did Edward Van Velsen make contact with that Audi? I think he did.
He didn't. It was very, very close. Maybe
Yeah,
a little bit of contact there because the front wing is front of the car's bent up a little.
Yep, and that lap is not going to count. Oh, heartbreak for Edward Van Velsen right at the end of qualifying. But that Nissan, yeah, we were actually discussing, Jay. The Nissan shouldn't be the fastest car around here. Monza is a very low downforce circuit, and the Nissan, it you think it's similar to a Group C car, and in many ways it is, but a lot of the time Group C was concentrating on less drag. And the Nissan generates quite a bit of drag and a whole lot of downforce, so it's very surprising to see it on top at the moment. The HPDs, though, they're not far behind. Joseph Fabian currently heading up the HPD standings, only 4 tenths behind Dean Ross, but who knows how fast Edward Van Velsen could have been.
Yeah, not too sure. It was pretty close in the end, but got the starting grid up on the screen. So Dean Ross will start from pole. First 3 cars will be Nissans with, as I said, Dean Ross, Nathan Anderson, Edward Van Velsen. Then we've got 4th position, the first of the HPDs, Joseph Fabian, Ryan Weiser. I'm going to get that wrong, aren't I, Reese? Ryan
Oh, who knows?
Olstad. Hey, anyone that's watched our broadcast know that I will butcher people's names, and that's how I do it. Michael Thomas, Bruce Ross, Dean Fitties, and Chris Polly round out the top 10.
Clint Smith is going to line up 11th, the top Daytona prototype. Tom Callahan behind him in an HPD with Sal Galante, James McKee, Warren Cogg, Corey J. Ott, Scott McKee, and Jonathan Turner rounding out the Daytona prototype field, with Chris Whitaker and Matthew Kidd rounding out the top 20 in the first of the Ferraris.
I'm going to get Dan's name completely wrong. Dan Karakonstantis? I've got that wrong.
Karakonstantis.
There you go. Reese got it. No. I'm going to butcher the next one too, Reese.
I'm probably going to butcher it too. Keradine Boafia,
yep.
I think.
Boafia looks right to me. We'll try and get it. Probably won't. They're the first two of the Audis. Then we've got Jason Peters, Davian Wood, Paul Jones, Shane Witt, Adam Gudra, Colin Hurt, Dave Oliver, and Luke May rounding out the top 30 cars.
And remaining in this field, Paul Lockley, Brenton O'Brien, Luke Emerton, Sean Thompson, and Sam Flintham, all in either an Audi or a Ferrari. Well, I don't think I've ever seen a field quite like this in all my time commentating for V8's Online. This is very similar to the run what you brung sort of nature of club racing. It's absolutely fantastic to see such a huge variety of cars competing in the same field and so close with each other as well. Like, multi-class racing, we're no stranger to that, but there's a very specific sort of division between classes. And we've also found that, when there's two or more cars in one class, they will stick together. But wow, that's a crazy variety of cars there as they pull off.
Yeah, I think the thing that's going to be the most bizarre is the fact that the classes are all mixed together. So we won't necessarily see one class pull away from the other, because we've seen the HPD and the Nissan very, very close in actual time pace. But the other thing too is they probably will be achieving the speed differently too. So one car will be stronger in one part of the track, another car will be stronger in another, and that could either cause mayhem or cause some of the most brilliant racing we ever see. We'll find out soon. They are starting the pace lap. 90 minutes of racing ahead for these guys.
Yep, they're coming down to Parabolica, the last turn at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, here in the north of Italy. A beautiful location. Apparently the risotto is very good as well. But as they come up to the end of the straight, that's interesting that you mention the gridding, Jay, because usually we've seen gridding by class, but no, the field remains where they qualified as they pass the 50-meter marker behind the pace car, and we'll be getting ready to go green in just a few moments' time. The start line at Monza comes up a bit faster than you'd think it would. Drivers will be getting the message from their spotters now that the pace car is going into the pits. And 90 minutes of racing is ahead of us. Dean Ross will lead the field away. And we are green. The Aussie Mixed and Fixed League 5th anniversary race is go. And have a look at the run that's already being gone by Van Velsen as they come down to the first chicane.
Wow, good jump from him.
Oh, and this is the big choke point. We've already got some cars around. Nathan Anderson in the Nissan.
Yeah, also may have been...
That was Kolstad, Ryan Kolstad. Yeah. Well, either way, they seem to be the only two cars that have actually gotten turned around in the chicane. Meanwhile, the battle between Ross and Van Velsen up the front is absolutely insane. They've gone side by side into the Lesmo chicane. And we've got a huge jostling for the pack in the Daytona prototypes. Looks like Corey... Has Clint Smith lost the lead?
Lost two spots. Jamie McKee now leads the DP class with Sal Glente right behind Clint Smith. So 4th position for Glente. Big
off in the background. That was Jonathan Turner. Yep. So now Nathan Anderson is going to be making his way back past Chris Whitaker in the Ferrari. Coming down to Ascari, I'm seeing an attempt at a pass in the background. Colin Herman on Adam Kudra. Looks like Kudra's just offline slightly into Ascari, so we may see a move there. Meanwhile, behind those three Ferraris, Ryan Kolstad making his way back up.
He's now up to 23rd outright.
Have a look at the speed difference, the braking difference between these cars. Kolstad right up the inside of Herman. That's going to be open.
Sorry, Rex Coriot, Clint Smith side by side down the front straight, coming into turn 1. We start lap 2. And just behind as well, we've got, big lock-up. Warren Codge and Jonathan Turner, side by side. Oh, sorry, Scott McKee and Warren Codge.
Yeah, certainly. Wow.
Seeing an Audi off the track now, too, going through the chicane.
We're getting a bit confused already, aren't we, Jay? There's so much happening on track at once. We haven't seen much of the Ferraris. That's Caro Constantis there in the Audi, just got to a standstill. I wonder if he was preemptively clearing a slowdown.
Yep. On board now with Dean Ross as he starts to hunt down Edward Van Velsen, but right behind him, the HPD of Joseph Fabian. You can see the speed difference down the straight. I'm actually surprised at how much the Nissans are pulling away, but through these faster corners where the downforce really comes into play, we'll start to see the HPDs close back up once more.
Yeah, you can already see that from Joseph Fabian. You see him literally just getting slightly larger in the rear view of Dean Ross. But as they come down the straight, he just ekes out a little bit more of a gap. Now, as they come down to Parabolica, which is the most downforce-heavy corner on the circuit, you see Ross just struggling to get online there. And Joseph Fabian's caught right back up to him relatively, but now they've got this huge long straight as they come down to start lap 3 of this race. I'm really looking forward to seeing if any of these guys will be able to get close to each other and we might see a battle. Have a look at Fabian under brakes at the chicane. That's incredible.
Closed up an absolute truckload. Have a look at these guys in the DP class. Side by side coming in to turn 1 with one of the Nissans there.
Yep, and Clint Smith has taken back the lead in Daytona Prototype. Bless you, Jay. Bless you once again. Okay, Jay has muted his mic. That's going to mean nothing to us. Have a look, though, at James McKee on Clint Smith, having a bit of a look. But they're in the background for 4th place in Daytona Prototype. It is on. Sal Valenti and Scott McKee getting side by side.
Great battles the whole way through the field so far, which is awesome to see. The only class that has a little bit of a gap between the front and the rest of the field is the Audi class, with Dave Oliver leading by about 5 seconds.
Yeah, Dave Oliver really enjoys racing that Audi. He loves putting up drift servers and putting a crazy setup on the car, just going drifting around Oxford Plains. Always fun doing that with him, but yeah, he's doing quite a good job there in the Audi. With looks like Luke May is in 2nd in the Audi class, and wow, you can see a real sort of speed difference between the Audi and the Ferrari here. It looks like the Audi's got the straight line speed down pat, but the Ferrari, being a modern GTE car with those thick tires and electronics and downforce, caught right back up through Ascari. But have a look at Dave Oliver pulling away. This is very similar to what we're seeing between the Nissans and the HPDs.
Dean Ross is around the wrong way at turn 1.
Oh no.
We're in the chicane. We'll get a replay thanks to Cut Price Racing, so we can pick up exactly what's going on there. Big thanks to Cut Price Racing for bringing the coverage of this event tonight to you. Your enjoyment. The Ross has dropped from 2nd outright back to 4th. He's still 2nd in class.
It was a touch. It was a touch from Joseph Fabian that sent him around. Looked like netcode might have been involved in that.
Well, Van Velsen checked up big time, and Ross checked up because of that, and I don't think Fabian would have seen that ahead of him. And it's just collected the back of him.
Well, that is a real shame for Dean Ross on pole, and now all the way back to 4th overall. Real shame indeed. But Edward Van Velsen has the overall lead of this race by a good margin over Joseph Fabian. So as they come down to the end of lap 4.
With the battle for third and fourth in the Nissan class, Nathan Anderson up the inside, move done on Gene Fiddies.
Yeah, excellent stuff there. Parabolica, a really fast corner, but it's tight on entry and then opens up on exit, so it's a very good overtaking spot in any car. So Nathan Anderson doing very well to get past Gene Fiddies there.
The gap at the front now, 1 second between Van Velsen and Fabian. It's really hard to comprehend that these are completely polar opposite cars.
Yeah, certainly. They're very much of the same type of racing car. They're both sports prototypes, but they both come from very different eras.
Dean Ross around once more.
Oh no.
Get another replay of that and see what happened.
Looks like he has a bit of damage on the rear as well. What happened there?
He just lost it then. He just put the power down a little bit too early and around he went.
Yeah, and I think it continued on a bit further down the track as well.
Oh, he's looped it again. Oh, and Clint Smith did a great job to avoid him there.
Goodness me, that is incredible.
Jump on board with Clint Smith here. See how close that was. With a slower car, just... Oh, that's heart attack stuff. Wow.
That is crazy. Really good reaction by Clint Smith to avoid that.
Battle in the Ferrari class behind Chris Whitaker. He's absolutely checked out on this field, but Javier Wood, Colin Herman, and Adam Kudra with Shane Witt as well.
Yep, trying to put one up the inside at Lesmo 2. Just realised that I referred to the second chicane wrongly. It's not the Lesmo chicane, it's Variante della Roggia, but Shane Witt, he's looking pretty racy, wanted to get past Kudra here.
Currently 5th in the Ferrari class. Trying to make his way through. Hey, what's actually shaping up to be a tight little battle too is the first of the Audis, Dave Oliver, got Javier Wood right on his tail in the second of the Ferraris.
Yeah, we'll have a look at this. Yeah, it looks like Oliver lifting off the throttle slightly. Might have missed a gear, but what on earth is Oliver doing? He sounds like he's lifting off the throttle a little.
Maybe he's going to keep this in a battle.
Perhaps. One thing that we haven't quite touched on is something that is in the title of the league. It is mixed and fixed. So all these cars are running fixed setups. There's no advantage that a driver can gain from making tweaks to their car in this league. It's all down to the driving style and being able to drive what you've been given, which I think is a really interesting concept.
Yeah, it's really, really different to what we see. And if you do want to join these guys, they do race their league every Monday night. So if you're looking for something a little bit different from V8 Supercars, like we bring you on a Monday night, and want to race something different, and join these guys in the Mixed and Fixed League every Monday night. Wasn't broadcasting. I might even join them one day.
Yeah,
I don't race enough, do I?
Oh, nah, you don't, Jay. You got to get back into it, mate. Need more content for your Twitch stream.
I actually did alright in a V8 race on Friday, so believe it or not, I actually raced the V8 a few times this week. The V8's at Bathurst this week, official, so doing alright. I might actually know what I'm talking about when it comes to Monday night, but this battle at the front is really, really intriguing. You see here, Fabian closes up an absolute mile, and as soon as we get through the chicane, away goes Van Velsen, just pulls away.
Yeah, that is incredible because the Nissan, obviously one of the big factory efforts that we saw in IMSA in the late 1980s.
Facing the wrong way, sorry, Reese. Michael Thomas.
Every time I start talking about these cars, someone makes a mistake.
Sorry. Well, actually, it's not my fault, is it?
No, it's not. It's 100% not your fault, Jay.
Normally would be my fault. Like a bit of a self spin there.
Yep, and
Back going again though.
yep,
Right.
doing well there.
I won't interrupt you this time.
It's okay. It's not you that's interrupting me. It's the drivers by not keeping it on the track, mate. No shade being thrown whatsoever. But just while this Ferrari battle we're seeing is closed once again, these guys are in a really interesting four-car train. Have a look at this.
So Chris Whitaker's checked out. He's got about 16 seconds over Colin Herman. We've got Javian Wood, Shane Witt, Adam Kudra, and Matthew Kidd's just visible in the background there. And they've got, of course, Dave Oliver at the front as well, towing them along.
Yeah, this is really intriguing as well. It's almost as intriguing as the front end battle. So once again, the Ferraris close up through Ascari. Dave Oliver in that turbo Ferrari, four-wheel drive, pure 1980s tech. Just pulls away a little bit at the end of the straight. And now have a look here. Goodness me. The Ferraris have to check up a little bit on corner exit, don't they?
Yeah, Colin almost absolutely drilled the back of that Audi. And then you just see the Audi just pull away. This is going to be tight. Yeah. They're going to go 3 wide here coming into turn 1.
Oh boy. Very close. Looks like Shane Witt. They're all pulling out of these braking maneuvers, aren't they?
Yeah, which is probably not a bad idea considering we've still got 75 minutes of racing left in this one.
Yeah, certainly. Another thing that you notice on the exit of that chicane, of course, you've got to remember the Audi is four-wheel drive, so it's got a massive traction advantage compared to all of the other cars in this field. So on the exit of this chicane, Dave Oliver can just slam the throttle down, and away he goes as we see one of the Ferraris off in the background there. Yep, so he's going to lose a couple of positions. There's a bit of a sand pit forming at the exit of the chicane there.
We'll run through the class leaders as of right now. Have a look at Van Velsen as once again through this section of the track, Fabian closes up, who's leading in the DP class. So Van Velsen leading outright, coming up to lap traffic as well. So this is going to make it very interesting. We might stay with this lead battle.
Yep, it's a very good idea indeed to do that as they come up to a Ferrari. Who is that? That is Jason Peters. He lets Van Velsen by, but Fabian is going to have to... Oh, wait, looks like he's been let by as well. So Joseph Fabian has lost a bit of time to Van Velsen there, but he'll probably be able to gain it back at some point as Van Velsen comes up behind a blinking Audi. That's Luke May there, who lets Van Velsen by at Parabolica. But hopefully I'll be able to have a bit of time to actually explain the differences between the Nissan and the HPD. They're both prototype racing cars, but they come from very different eras of prototype racing. The Nissan is one of the big factory-backed efforts from IMSA in the late 1980s. The HPD is also technically a factory-backed Le Mans prototype, at least it was when it was first created by Honda Performance Development and run under the Acura brand in the American Le Mans series. But yeah, the Nissan has a huge honking turbo. I think it's twin turbo as we come up to... Oh, goodness me, this is very tight here at Lesmo.
This actually looks really messy, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
Classes of cars trying to get past each other all at the same time, and I wonder if these guys at the front of this little battle realise that these are the actual outright leaders trying to come through.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Well, Joseph Fabian is going to take advantage of as much slipstream as he possibly can, but it looks like he's going to get held up by an Audi into Ascari. That's Keradine Boafia there. But at the same time, it looks like Van Velsen got slightly held up on exit behind one of the Ferraris. Matthew Kidd, who himself is trying to chase down Adam Kudra at Parabolica. The Nissan's huge amount of straight line speed compared to the HPD, I think, is largely due to the turbo. This thing just keeps on pulling and pulling and pulling at those high revs. Meanwhile, the HPD, it has a V8, but doesn't have much torque compared to the Nissan, so it's very hard to get the power down in the most efficient way in the HPD. At the same time, it's I'd say the Nissan is a little bit easier to spin, because that turbo lag can really catch you out.
I'm amazed at how much of a gap Van Velsen's been able to pull through this traffic too. It's now up to 2.5 seconds. Only 2 laps ago it was at 0.3 of a second.
Yeah, that gap that Van Velsen has pulled out is absolutely immense now. And that would 100% be due to the traffic. So Fabian is now forced to get a bit liberal with the track limits in order to catch back up to him.
Back in the field, we've got Luke May and Jason Peters fighting amongst themselves. It's 24th and 25th outright. 4th in class for Luke May in the Audi, the Ken Block-inspired livery. And Jason Peters right behind in the Ferrari. The pace difference between the Ferrari and the Audi through this section of the track. Look at how much he's gaining, and now the Audi will just pull away.
Yeah, Peters wasn't quite able to get on the line that he needed to at exit there, so he lost even more ground to the Audi than he would have otherwise. The Audi getting on the brakes a little earlier than the Ferrari, and Peters is going wide here to let by an HPD. That's Bruce Ross making his way through. But now Luke May will pull away slightly from Jason Peters. Now, both of these cars have turbo engines, the Ferrari and the Audi, but the Ferrari has... the Ferrari is a V8, yes?
Yep. Righto.
I'm fairly certain. I'm fairly certain it's a V8 twin turbo in that Ferrari.
Well, I'm going to say yes to whatever you say, Reese.
Okay, I'm sure the broadcast chat will correct me.
I'm sure you'll get told if you're wrong. You won't get told if you're right, but you'll definitely get told if you're wrong. We know
oh,
how
yeah,
it works, don't we?
Yeah, that's the way it always works, but the Ferrari has one of the most unique engine configurations ever, and one of the nicest sounding too. It's an inline 5-cylinder in the Audi. How cool is that?
Very, very different. We won't see anything like that again, I don't think.
Yeah, of course. The Audi comes
big mistake from May.
Yeah, I think he just wasn't able to get the car turned in time for Lesmo 2, and now Dean Ross is going to go by. Of course,
car off. Sorry,
recovering.
Got, James McKee off the track, and it looks like he's got a bit of damage to the front of that DP.
Oh,
I'm going to replay and see exactly what happened thanks to Cut Price Racing. I'm going to make sure you check out their website. Little bargains there.
Oh no, very unfortunate incident.
Oh,
So
the second hit was, and then third. The first hit probably wasn't too bad with, I think that was Paul Jones. Yeah, just got
Yeah, it was.
big whoopsie moment, and the innocent bystander there was McKee.
Yeah, that is a real shame for McKee there. Oh wow, he just got absolutely pummeled. So now he's going to make his way back to the pits. That car's looking very unstable. And now he's coming up to Ascari as Paul Jones in front of him is taken to the gravel trap. I'm wondering if Jones has some damage of his own from that. I'm sure he would, of course.
Yeah, that'd have to be
that
some
hit.
sort of damage.
Oh yeah.
Interesting battle happening outright 9th and 10th. You got the 444 of Ryan Kolstad and Sal Galente. 10th, who's second in the DP class. These two are actually battling for position and very, very close on pace.
Yeah, certainly. That's quite interesting to see. Usually the HPD has a few seconds on the Daytona prototype. Of course, I know from racing these cars in the past, the Chevrolet DP is from a very interesting era of sports car racing as well. In the latter days of Grand Am is where it was spawned from. But when Grand Am and the American Le Mans Series merged to create the current IMSA Sports Car Championship, this car, the Chevy Daytona prototype, was a sort of a stopgap in order to create one merged prototype class with the LMP2s from ALMS. So it's a bit of a strange hybrid of heavy steel frame customer prototype, but it's got a bunch of downforce bits bolted on to give it a bit more pace relative to the P2s that were around at the time. Unfortunately, the LMP2 that we have in iRacing at the moment is from a few years earlier, so it is a bit faster than those P2s in that era were. So looks like Sal Galenti is losing ground at quite a rapid pace here to Ryan Kolstad now.
Just looking at the times, Dave. Oliver's lost out. Oh.
Had a bit of a moment at the chicane, went across the anti-cuts.
About to say, Dave Oliver's lost all of that big, huge gap he had. It's down to a 1 second gap back to Bofia.
Yeah, very interesting, that gap. So who knows?
It's
we might see.
Nothing.
Yeah, and now we've got more faster traffic coming through. Gene Fiddy's splitting this battle right now in the Nissan. Of course, Fiddy's is going to have to hold back here through Ascari as Oliver makes his way through the corner. And now on the straight, the superior straight line speed of the Nissan just absolutely shooting off into the distance now.
Oh, have a look at the two Audis though, side by side here. This is a change for the lead. Oh, a big crash back in the field too, just behind. You see Clint Smith, one of the cars facing the wrong direction, who is the leader.
Paul Jones was involved in that as well.
Replay and see exactly what happened there.
Paul Jones once again made a mistake, and unfortunately the car behind him was caught up in it. Real shame. Looks like Jones just took a bit too much of that curb.
Oh, it just absolutely shot him in the air. He probably didn't take a huge amount too much. Maybe only a couple of mil, and it's just shot him straight into the air.
Wow, that is a real shame. But unfortunately, Clint Smith once again in a bit of bad luck, and it looks like Keradine Boafi has been black flagged by the race admin for an incident on lap 11.
Okay.
So I'm wondering what that was. I'm going to go back and check that just to see.
That is a great idea. You try and work out what it is.
Happened on
I
lap
don't think
11.
I'll be able to get back that far in the broadcast replay, but the lead at the front now out to 3 seconds between Van Velsen and Fabian. In saying that, Joseph Fabian has just done the fastest lap of the race, 1 second quicker than the last lap by of Edward Van Velsen.
Wow.
So that HPD is starting to gain some pace and coming back through. We are tick over 65 minutes left in this race.
Yes, certainly. And Paul Jones says in the chat that he's had a complete wheel failure. He's had to restart. And I've had a look at the incident that Keradine Boafia was black flagged for. It looks like he was responsible for an incident that put Adam Kudra into the wall coming out of the first chicane. Of course, the difference between the Audi and the Ferrari highlighted there. Looks like the straight line speed, or traction rather, of the Audi did not work out in Boafia's favor because he basically rear-ended Adam Kudra coming out of the first chicane, and that sent Boafia around and into the wall.
Just as I said that Fabian was getting some pace and going a second quicker, this lap, Van Velsen's pulled out about 0.6 of a second so far.
Yep, and he is being aided by a double slipstream from an Audi and a Ferrari coming into Parabolica. Let's see what kind of lap time this is going to be from Edward Van Velsen. Coming up to the start-finish line once again, that's going to be a 1:38.95.
Yeah, versus a 1:39.4 for Fabian, so that 5/10 being carved very, very locked up. Just saw the smoke as we were watching Van Velsen.
Yeah, I do believe that was Warren Cog in the Daytona prototype just ahead.
I've seen the mix of all the different classes. We've got 3 different classes inside the top 10. We've got all 5 classes in the top 20.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Having a look, though, at Clint Smith, he's making his way past a Ferrari right now. Of course, Clint, in what seems to have been a real up-and-down race, he's made his way back up to second in class and is now chasing down Sal Galenti at a rapid pace.
He's just used that draft coming into the last section of the track there to his advantage. It looks like Galente's got a little bit of front-end damage as well. That hit between Smith and Jones that we saw before, I don't think it's actually hurt Smith as much as expected.
Oh no!
Oh,
Galenti.
Big moment for Galenti.
Yeah, and it looks like Clint was kind of crossed up because of that. Took a little trip through the gravel, but now this battle for the lead in Daytona Prototype is on.
The 9th and 10th outright, first 2 cars in this class. There's nothing between them now, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, but have a look at Galenti here. He's going to get held up at Lesmo behind Colin Herman in the Ferrari. Is Galenti going to pull one up the inside? Oh, this is a really awkward place. Very awkward place to pass Lesmo to. Not quite tight enough to get anyone under brakes, but look at Clint Smith now. He has got the run. They've got an HPD behind them, though. No. Yep. Michael Thomas. Yep. And that's going to let Michael Thomas through into Ascari. And now Galenti's going to have another slipstream from the Audi because Michael Thomas just behind him. Going to come up behind him. Of course, Thomas choosing... Oh, okay. I was going to say he chooses not to send it up the inside at Parabolica, but it looks like Galenti decided to go wide and take advantage of that slipstream as he tucks in behind.
Put Dean Ross in the pits. But Edward Van Velsen now coming around. He's just lapped Corey Ott in 13th position, so it's now 12 cars outright on the lead lap. The gap between Van Velsen and Fabian now 6.3 seconds.
Wow. So something must have happened to Fabian in the last few laps.
I'm going to guess some traffic because that lap just sent from Van Velsen 1:38.4, a 1:41.7 the lap previous, and now he's just come back with a 1:38.6. So about 3-second loss, probably due to traffic. We've just ticked over 30 minutes in this race. We have 1 hour left to go.
Yes, indeed. And traffic at the wrong time at Monza can really hurt you because you got these long straights. But Clint Smith versus Sal Galenti is really on once again. It looks like Galenti's just having a bit of trouble with the rear end of his car. And Smith is now in the slipstream. Probably won't see a move at Ascari, as you said last lap, Jay. It's not a place that you would want to pass.
No. Definitely don't want to go through here, but...
Can Smith get him on exit, though? Looks like he's gotten the power down nicely, and he's gaining just a bit in the draft. Looks like Clint's just lifting off a bit. Maybe saving a bit of fuel.
Possibly. We know that these cars, fuel-wise, they definitely won't make it home the full distance. I think they go about 63 or 64 minutes of fuel from memory race.
Yep.
I don't know. I just made that up. Sounds good though. So that means from pretty much now they can make it home. So it's interesting to see what happens, whether they do decide to pit now or whether they keep going on.
Yeah, well, saving fuel is a good idea at a track like this where it can benefit you to stay in the draft and just lift and coast a little bit. Because if you can minimize the time spent in the pits, you'll gain dividends towards the end of the race. So yeah, I think at this point, Clint Smith is just electing to stay behind. Oh, have a look at that. Both of them making a mistake on the exit of Lesmo 1. Now they got... Oh no, Galenti. Galenti just had a huge moment behind the Audi of Luke May.
Okay, we're back. We're all good. Sorry, Race.
No worries. Well, looks like most of the field has spread out. I think we're seeing the first drivers taking their pit stops.
The field's started to spread a little too, so this Galenti and Smith battle is definitely the closest battle in the race at the moment, and of course it is for the lead in class.
Yeah, of course. Having a look at Clint Smith, he's doing the same thing lap after lap, just putting some wheels in the gravel coming out of the first chicane.
Well, Fabian's just on the fastest lap of the race again too, so that battle is definitely not over.
Yeah, certainly isn't. Looks like Van Velsen is going to have a little bit of traffic, but he should be able to get by it before the second chicane. He does, in fact, before Curva Grande even. So, in a couple of corners' time, Joseph Fabian is going to have Shane Witt to contend with. See if he can make any inroads on Van Velsen. Of Van Velsen making a little mistake out of Lesmo 1.
I was actually thinking Van Velsen was just going to shoot straight off the track there. He did a great job to actually save that and not run off.
It looks like Van Velsen having some traffic difficulties.
Nathan Anderson, who was second in the Nissan class the round, recovered, but I think he may have clipped the wall. Try and get a replay of that, thanks to Top Class Racing.
Looks like if there was any damage at all, it would have been floor damage, Jay, because he spun around and went over those speed bumps.
I actually think he might have got out of that okay. But it was actually going fairly slow when he went over those, so might have got out of it all right. But have a look at the gap now. It was 5.7 seconds when we started that replay. It's now down to 3.5 seconds between Van Velsen and Fabian. A full 2.5 second gain last lap. 141.4 for Van Velsen. A 138.9. That's a massive gain.
Yeah, certainly is. And Van Velsen, of course, wouldn't have been helped by the traffic that he had up at the far end of the circuit.
Clint Smith's still applying a lot of pressure, and look at how wide he's running. He's using all the track limits, plus more, to try and hunt down Sal Galente, the front of the DP class.
Very good battle right now between these guys. It's been a pleasure to watch so far.
Been very, very clean and very, very intelligent as well. They're not forcing anything at the wrong moment, even when either man has got a little bit of pace or a little bit of a draft or a run. They haven't just thrown it up in there. They're actually planning out when they're going to make this move. I think Clint Smith will be looking to go for pitting at the same time and probably passing the pit stop due to taking less fuel. Then again, it also depends how much damage these guys have got and want to get repaired too, because they both look like the cars are fairly well dinted up.
Yeah, certainly. Of course, we can't forget both of these guys have been in the wars throughout this race. Have a look at the draft that Clint Smith has got here. He's pulling out. Is he going to try and go for the move here at the chicane? No, he is not. He is going to get on the brakes just a little bit earlier. Let Sal back by into the lead.
Yeah, he didn't feel like he was close enough there to get it done, so jumps back in the line exactly as we said. These guys being smart about it.
Yeah, certainly. And meanwhile, the battle up the front, it's gone out again. 4.8 seconds at the line between Van Velsen and Fabian.
We're changing the lead in the Ferrari standings with Chris Whitaker in the pits making his pit stop. So he is now dropped back to third position. Colin Herman now leads that class, but yet to make his stop.
Yes, indeed. And it looks like Dave Oliver with Keradine Boafia having to take his penalty. The battle for the lead is between Dave Oliver and Dan Constantis in the Audi class, and they're not that far apart.
Yeah, it's 1.8 seconds at the moment, so it's fairly close. It's close enough to make it interesting to watch. Have a look at this battle, though, for the lead in the DP class. Going down the chute. Oh, Smith's going to throw it up here, is he? No?
No.
Oh, I thought about it.
Yeah, certainly did.
He thought twice about whether to actually chop across there, whether Smith was going to be in there or not. And I think he almost thought about leaving enough room there for Smith to go through.
Yeah, Galenti just driving his mirrors at the moment. Have a look at the draft here too. Smith is just, there we go, lift and coast. There it is.
Smith's definitely trying to save a bit of fuel here. It's a very smart strategy.
It definitely is. Sal Galenti in front of him, having a little bit of trouble keeping his car under control in the slow chicane. Of course, Monza is one of those circuits that it's got a strange dichotomy about it as we see Smith lifting and coasting once again.
Oh, big walk up for Clemente. Is he going to be actually passed here? I don't think so. Yes.
Nah, I think is Smith going to lift off? No.
Smith's through. Move done.
Obviously, he's decided he saved enough fuel and is ready to put the hammer down. But Monza's one of those circuits with a strange dichotomy between fast and slow, because you got these straights where the prototypes are reaching well over 300 kilometers an hour in places, depending on which prototype you're driving, obviously. But then it's broken up by these very slow chicanes. Of course, Ascari at the moment that Smith is going through is not one of those slow chicanes, and I think Smith actually got a bit of damage from one of the curbs on the exit of that chicane, because the front end of his car is now looking much more crumpled than it was a few seconds ago.
Seeing Dean Ross make his way back through the field after making his stop a little bit earlier. He's back in 9th position outright, 4th in class. Ross. Smith now. There's another battle that's just going on as well. We've got 4th and 5th in the HPD class side by side.
Ooh.
And there's a Ferrari just ahead of them as well. Oh,
yeah,
big
boys.
dive!
Whoa,
Big
Kolstad!
dive! Oh, he's pulled it up.
Goodness me!
I saw a Ferrari going into the fence there, but great job.
Would have given Javin Wood a hell of a fright. Now have a
Still
look
will
at
now.
Have a look at Kolstad there. Jeez.
Wanting to get this done.
Yeah, he certainly is. Wow. That was an interesting bit of racing we saw there.
Change for the lead, or side by side for the lead in the Audi class. Oh,
yep.
Contact between the two guys there as well.
Yeah, and looks like Nathan Anderson. Oh, have a look at Nathan Anderson. Oh, just missed a gear, and then the turbo lag of the Nissan caught him out. It's very difficult to shift that thing out of the low gears. You've got to be very careful on the upshift, otherwise it's just going to spin the wheels and you go around. But it looks like Dan Constantis is now your leader in the Audi class.
So Oliver's either doing something funny with strategy, or he actually has damage and has lost pace, because he had a lead of over 10 seconds at one point. Holstad and Thomas still going at it in the HPDs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, these guys have not lost any ground to each other, and I think a lot of that is due to the little bit of damage that I can see on the front of Kolstad's car. That right front quarter looks like the right headlight is pointing inwards a little bit. Tiny cross-eyed that that HPD at the moment, whereas Michael Thomas
got a bit of a lazy eye.
Yeah, definitely is. Might be a glass eye. Who knows? A little bit of Mad Eye Moody sort of stuff going on there, but Michael Thomas looking to be the less damaged of the two cars, but definitely looks like Ryan Kolstad is much more aggressive of the two.
Yep, for sure, and I think that will help Thomas as well as he moves through the field. Dave Oliver in the pits, as you said, there may be something wrong with his car. Now in the pits, I'm not sure whether that'll be for his scheduled pit stop or whether
he's up on the jacks.
That, so that means he's definitely getting tyres anyway.
Yeah, well, we're about to go half race time.
So Kolstad and Thomas. Thomas almost on the grass passing that Ferrari.
Have a look at Kolstad there going into Parabolica, just diving towards the inside. Now we get to the straight and look at the run that Thomas has. This is going to be a move for sure.
Yep.
Huge amount of straight line speed difference. Oh, don't touch each other in a straight line, guys. Braking, braking, braking. Down into the chicane. And looks like that is move done for Michael Thomas. We'll see what Ryan Kolstad has to say about that. If he can stay within about half a second to a second of Thomas, then he'll still be able to have the draft and stay within range for a pass.
Speaking of draft and battles getting close, have a look at the battle for the lead outright. It's now back down to 1.7 seconds once again. Last lap by Van Velsen lost 1.5 seconds. And he's losing ground. Trying to get past the Ferrari there. Almost into the back. And this will help Joseph Fabian once again.
Van Velsen offline slightly in the second chicane. That killed his exit down this following short straight down to the Lesmos.
Oh, Fabian thought that Ferrari was going to chop him off and didn't. And that compromised him. So that cost Fabian a little bit of time there.
Yeah, and as a faster class driver, there's nothing more frustrating than misreading the actions of a slower class car in front of you, because if you'd done just one thing a little bit differently, you'd probably be much further up the road.
Lovely the gap that Smith's pulled on Galente since he's managed to get through. It's now to 9.7 seconds.
Putting the hammer down indeed.
I'm not sure if Galente's had an issue or whether he's actually showing his real pace at the moment, but it's massive.
Yeah, well, I think it might be a bit of both, because having a look at the qualifying times, Galente was 4/10 behind Smith in terms of lap time. I don't know. Seems like Smith doesn't have as much damage as he did before, so I don't know. Some of it might have been netcode.
I think what's going to make this race interesting is when these guys at the front have to pit, because I'm fairly sure the Nissan will have a longer pit stop than the HPD. Well, I'm not 100% sure, but thinking logically, I'd be fairly sure that the Nissan will have a longer stop.
Yeah, probably. And of course, a bit of a correction from earlier. I was actually wrong about this race being fixed. Justin Cotterill, league admin, popped into the broadcast chat and said that the setup is open for this special 5th anniversary event.
That'd throw a few people off, wouldn't it?
It would, and the guys have got a... That means that they have the full fuel load of their cars to play with. Now, the HPD has a 60 kilogram fuel load. I'm unsure of the fuel load that the Nissan has. If someone could enlighten me, that would be mucho appreciato. But I do know from quite a few years and about 1,000 hours of racing the HPD.
Oh, here we go, Van Velsen in the
Here we go.
pits.
Yep. Okay.
Then
So
Smith in the pits.
this is going to be interesting. We'll see how long it takes to fuel up this car, the Nissan, because I know that the the HPD. I'm getting see. This is what we were talking about, Jay. We're getting tongue tied.
Hey, you did well. You lasted 45 minutes. I lasted like 30 seconds, so you did better than me.
All right, I guess I'll take that. Edward Van Velsen getting his damage repaired, but the HPD takes about 30 seconds to fill up a fuel tank. And the tires are put on after the fuel is loaded in the Audi. I'm unsure if tires and fuel are done at the same time in the Nissan, or if they'll even take tires at all.
Just looking at the only driver that's made a pit stop in the Nissan class is Nathan Anderson. His pit stop was 47 seconds, so I'm guessing that that is fuel and tires. I'm not sure. I'm no expert. We all know that.
Oh, good. I'm just monitoring Van Velsen to see if his car goes up onto the jacks at all.
You guys are getting ready to go, so he's just ticked over 48 seconds, 50 seconds, 51.
So no tires.
Stop. No tires. Okay, so it's taken 51 seconds to fill the car up with fuel. That's
wow,
a massive
okay.
difference.
Yeah, and that means then that when Fabian pits, he can afford to take tires and fuel because, as I said, a full tank in the HPD is 30 seconds, and the tires take about 15 seconds. So all up a 45 to 50 second stop for the HPD. But of course, the tires on the HPD are pretty much bulletproof. We've been able to take it for about 2 hours. Oh, Joseph Fabian, what on earth happened there? He nearly drove straight into the wall on the pit straight.
I think he might have been concentrating on something else there and maybe looking at his fuel numbers on another screen or something, not paying attention to what he was doing. It almost into the pit wall down the front straight. We're going to jump on board for a replay.
Yeah.
It's a little bit hard to see from the camera angle, but I know exactly what you're talking about here.
Yeah,
not paying attention
meandering
to what's going
over.
Yeah.
No. Whoops.
Oh, hang on, there's a wall there.
Oh, goodness me.
Like, no, he's not going to get anywhere near it. Not going to get anywhere near the wall. Hang on, there's a wall coming out there. That's where the oval section of the track comes, or where the wall for the old oval part of the track was. You get what I'm trying to say anyway. 40 minutes to go.
You can words. You can words.
Good English.
Yes.
So Van Velsen's still in second outright. The closest now, we saw Dean Ross, who was leading right at the start. He had pitted very early, had a bit of bad luck. Now 10 seconds behind Van Velsen. And lap times are fairly similar between Van Velsen and Ross. So interesting to see if that battle for the front of the Nissan class closes at all. Nathan Anderson and Bruce Ross is a little bit of an interesting battle. 5th and 6th on track at the moment. Both third in their classes. Both have made their pit stops. Separated by 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, so very close battle between these guys. It's the looking on board from the HPD at the huge honking diffuser of that Nissan is incredible to behold. As Bruce Ross goes a little wide in Parabolica.
And Joseph Fabian is in the pits as well.
Okay,
one eye on his pit stop time.
He did have a little bit of damage from that brush with the wall, I think, did Fabian.
Yeah, you might get some of that damage fixed from earlier in the race. Look at the gap from Ross closing up under brakes. And this section here's where he'll gain because he can get on the power a lot earlier. But once the Nissan gets on the power and actually can put the foot down, it just takes off.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Of course, that HPD, low torque V8, couldn't pull the skin off some hot milk. Of course, the HPD does have the advantage of an extra gear and all of the electronics.
Fabian is back out on the track, and Van Velsen is coming through the final corner.
Yeah,
so net gain of around about, I'm going to say 20 seconds or so.
Yeah, I'm thinking Fabian elected not to take tyres in that
Yeah,
stop.
31-second stop. Most of the other guys in the HPDs are taking about 45 odd seconds for their stops.
Yep.
So 21-second gap now that timing is updated. Also,
Yep.
if you are wanting to check the live timing, it is up on our website, beardsonline.com/live-timing. As all the times, track map, so you can keep an eye on where all of your favourite drivers are. If you're wanting to know how someone's going, you can jump over to our website and have a look.
Yeah, you certainly can. And with respect to Fabian, I was going to say that the HPD, you can really stretch the tyres in that thing. You can go up to 2 hours on a set of tyres in that car and have minimal drop-off depending on the way your car is set up. And I know from racing against Redback in Endurance Sports Car Championship, they do like to double or even triple stint their tyres, which is a little crazy, but they managed to make it work.
Yeah, you can do it. Why not? Just saw Corey Ott make a pass, a new signing for Pro Force Racing, making a pass on Warren Koch. And he's got, I think that's Nathan Anderson right behind him. Yep. To get back past, he's got Bruce Ross behind, 1.5 seconds back. So this traffic won't be helping Anderson, who is trying to pull away from Ross. Love the sound of the turbo when you're on board with the Nissan. They're going through the brakes or back down the gears.
Yeah, it's incredible, that blow-off valve sound. Going through those massive rear tyres.
The field sort of stabilised and spread now. The Fabian in his class leading by 33 seconds. For the outright lead. Van Velsen leading by about 10 seconds over Ross, so that gap is starting to close over between Van Velsen and Ross. That's definitely not over in that class. Galente leading the... Yeah, interesting. Smith has had 2 pit stops. Galente is now leading by 34 seconds, so possibly a penalty for Smith of some kind, I'm not sure.
Interesting. I'm not seeing anything from race control with regards to a penalty for Smith, but maybe he got a speeding in pits penalty or
Possibly,
something.
Yeah. That could be true on his pit exit, would have been speeding, maybe.
In fairness, that's pretty easy to do at Monza with the track being as high speed as it is.
Yep. Ferrari class, Shane Witt leading by 15 seconds, and in the Audi class... Oh, big crash!
Yeah. Huge. That was... Oh, goodness me. Multiple cars involved in that. Paul Lockley. Oh. Absolute havoc out of the second chicane. So what on earth happened there?
G'day, Cup Price Racing replay. Pick up exactly what happened. Try to break it down and see if we can work out what went on.
Alright, well, it started when...
Ferrari's gone off the track.
Yeah, when Javin Wood went off, and then, of course, Paul reacted to that, tagged by Scott McKee.
McKee, I don't think saw that other car going off ahead of him, and didn't realise that the Audi was checking up. And, yeah.
And then, of course, Paul Lockley absolutely smashed by Jason Peters. So, quite a bit of dust going up at the exit of the second chicane, and wow. There's almost more sand there than tarmac.
Not looking like an overly nice bit of racetrack to be on at the moment, so you actually see on board here with Peters, who's actually doing a great job just letting these cars through and getting out of the way and thinking, oh, here we go, and bang! Slams into the car that he had no idea facing the wrong direction. Go back live. That's pretty disastrous for a fair chunk of the field there.
Yeah, certainly is.
I think at Dean Ross though, gap now 9 seconds, so he's pulling about 4 to 5 tenths of a second a lap. We've got approximately 17 to 18 laps left in this race. He's going to get there.
Yeah.
At current pace.
Dean Ross on an absolute charge, trying to catch up to Van Velsen. So I think Van Velsen has given up the fight for the overall lead. Of course, they're barring something happening to Fabian. There's absolutely no way he's going to get the overall lead back at this rate.
No, I can't see that happening. I mean, Fabian would have to run over a black cat that's crossing its path on the track for him not to win this race from here. But we all know how these things play out. Strange things can do and often will happen.
Yeah, certainly. And I think with regards to the black cat thing, I think at these kinds of speeds, hitting any animal would put an end to the race.
Yes. Yeah.
But if it's a black cat crossing your path, it's just that little bit worse. Fabian is now making his way past Boafia in the Audi.
Boafia is actually leading the Audi class at the moment by around about 15 seconds, but I do believe he's only pitted for that penalty which we saw earlier, saying that the black flag penalty, so he could have made his pit stop at the same time. So whether he's got enough to bring it home or not, Oliver around about 20 seconds behind actually at the moment.
Well, we'll keep tabs on that as the race has now, well, is on the verge of going into its final half hour.
This hour's flown by, Reese.
Yeah, certainly has. There's action aplenty here at Monza.
Have a look at the lap times between Fabian and Van Velsen. I don't know what I've done, but he's taken 3 seconds out of him last lap. It's down to 12 seconds.
Oy vey, goodness me. It's that traffic, man.
It's the black cat.
Yeah.
And Ross is actually losing ground to Van Velsen now as well. So Van Velsen's decided to get the hammer down. He's going to have a crack at it.
Yeah, he's taking quite aggressive lines.
Look at the speed difference too of the Audi that he just went past.
Yeah, I mean, I know I was talking earlier about how the Audi has massive traction, but downforce is going to beat traction any day at those speeds.
I'm pretty sure if they had a wrestling match that downforce would win 9.5 times out of 10. As you see an Audi off just ahead of...
That's Boafia.
Yeah, he's our leader.
Yeah, so what on earth is he doing?
His car's stuck in the fence.
Oh no. Well, that's a real shame for him. So Dave Oliver's going to go back by to take the lead, and Constantis is going to go by to take second. And it looks like Boafia's gone back to the pits.
Oh, that was strange. That was really strange. He just jumped on board for a replay, and that was just weird how it just just got 2 wheels in the AstroTurf. It's actually a big netcode hit from behind. That was weird.
Yeah, there was a huge amount of space between those cars. That's a real shame for Boafia, and I don't know, did he get stuck in the fence?
Not sure what happened. It was strange because he definitely wasn't moving. On board with James McKee, who was the driver that quote unquote made contact. There was nowhere near contact between them. You didn't actually hear any contact from McKee's car. You definitely heard it on board with Boafia's car.
Yeah, I think with Boafia, when he was facing the wall, maybe he was having trouble getting it into gear. I'm not sure.
Back in the pits now though, so that's essentially race done for him. So Oliver now takes the lead once again in the Audi class, and that is actually looking very, very close in regards to the times.
Yeah, it certainly is. The battle for the lead is well and truly back on. So Constantis and Oliver now both with clean cars. I do believe this race might have fast repairs enabled.
both within sight of each other too, which is the pretty cool thing at this stage of the race.
Yeah, certainly is. After the amount of time that we've had pass, to say that we have battles for the lead still on in more than one class is quite spectacular.
And the outright lead still not officially decided between two different class cars.
Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised that Fabian hasn't maintained the lead that he got after his stop.
The only class
Maybe the tyres are starting to fall off.
Yeah, the only class that's got a massive lead massive gap at the moment is the Ferrari class. Shane Witt leading by 33 seconds over Matthew Kidd. But fourth and fifth in that class is nice and close. Jason Peters and Chris Whitaker. They are separated by about half a second coming down the front straight. Start their 35th lap race.
Yeah, of course. Jason Peters qualified in 23rd. Whitaker qualified in 29th. About a second's pace difference between them over one lap, so I wouldn't be surprised if Whitaker gets past
Here we go. He's going to do it now.
Yep. Down through Curva Grande. Will he be able to get past before the chicane, though? Peters might try to come back at him. No, he's just going to lift off.
Yep. Oh, a big lock-up from
dear.
Whitaker, and he's had to get off the throttle. He's probably got a slowdown penalty from that too.
Yeah.
And they've got
that would have been
a HPD trying to get through as well.
Yeah, so Bruce Ross in that HPD is going to be wondering what on earth is going on with these two Ferraris. But he'll wait until the following straight to slingshot past Peters.
They were saying that there's a big gap at the front of the Ferrari class. Well, that's now changed because Shane Witt is in the pits making his pit stop, and he's now resuming second position. So that was why there was such a big gap. The Matthew Kidd now leads that class, but I don't believe he has pitted yet either.
Yeah, so it's up in the air as to who is going to take the lead in the Ferrari class. Dean Ross just made his way past Matthew Kidd.
This has been a really intriguing race. I was a little bit unsure about how the multi-class would have went. I thought the pace difference was going to be way too different. Two dissimilar cars within all the field, but this absolutely put it on. And the fact that these guys are actually battling for position within different classes is absolutely unreal. Have a look at the front of the Audi class. Two Audis at the front, they're on.
It's on. So coming through the second chicane, looks like Paul Lockley behind them. Of course, Lockley, fair few laps down.
Oh, sorry, guys. My overlay software's just crashed. Sorry, guys.
Oh dear.
That's good.
That's never a good thing.
No.
But at some point, Jay, if we can get a cut price replay of something, I've just noticed Dean Ross on his lap 38 at the Lesmos. Just check that out, because he almost had his race completely destroyed. And so did James McKee, for that matter.
I'll see what I can do. Dean Ross, you said, wasn't it?
Yes, indeed. Dean Ross.
Let's see if I can make some magic happen here. Tell you what's an interesting battle. I'm just noticing on the timesheets as well. Second in the DP class, and also second in the Nissan class, are pretty close together. Something's happened to Van Velsen. He's stopped.
Oh dear. That is not good at all. He might have run fuel, maybe?
Stuck in the fence? Is he?
No, he's rolling backwards. What is going on? That's bizarre. So that means that Dean Ross... Dean Ross is going to the pits. You know what? I think Van Velsen might have pitted too early.
He didn't pit that long ago, though. I
Well,
think it's strange.
yeah, that's all I can come up with. It's a very bizarre incident, Van Velsen.
On board with Van Velsen now coming up to the main straight. So we'll see if we can work out exactly what's happening here. He hasn't blown it up under brakes, has he?
Oh yeah, he has.
Yep, exactly what's happened.
Ah, what a shame. Absolute heartbreak for Van Velsen.
Come back on board once again. You can hear when he comes down the gears go bang. And that's a class win gone.
Yeah.
Back live once again.
Well, Dean Ross, as a result of that, his race did not get off to the best of starts. A few laps in, with a couple of incidents putting him very far back, but it looks like now he's taken back the class lead.
No, actually, Nathan Anderson is leading that class.
Oh, no.
Because Dean Ross has made his second pit stop for some
Oh,
reason.
he has too.
And Anderson now leads that class.
Right. Apologies for that little mix-up. My timing screen had not updated.
All right, so let's go back through the field again.
Right.
So Fabian
Oh,
leading
boy.
outright. Got a 35-second lead. Nathan Anderson leading the Nissan class. Bruce Ross has done a pretty good job coming back through as well. Dean Ross, though, thought he was doing a great job, but he's dropped back. Doug Lente leading in the DP class. Clint Smith's not able to catch him as quick as he would have hoped. Go back a little bit further. 16th position outright. First of the Ferraris is Matthew Kidd. And then Dave Oliver leading the Audi class, but I don't know for how much longer. Have a look at this down the front straight.
Yep. Dan Caracon-Stantis in the slipstream. Now, the Audi is one of those manual transmissions where you need heel and toe. So under brakes, a lot of potential stuff to go wrong here, but it looks like Dan has taken the lead from Dave.
With that HPD in behind as well, trying to get through. Gonna have to go the long way around here.
Yeah, certainly, but looks like Dan is already pulling away from Dave. That HPD behind him is Bruce Ross, who will stay behind through the chicane and then go by on exit if he can.
Yep, gone through now.
Dan had to lift off a bit to let him through there. Just shows you how much the Audi has and how little the HPD has. But they're pretty much equal from a standstill.
A standing start, you'd almost put your money on the Audi if you knew that someone was pretty good in regards to shifting it, but through a corner and under brakes, there's no way that the Audi will be even in a class or even close to being competitive.
Yeah, for sure. This battle for the lead isn't over, though. Have a look at Dave Oliver behind Dan Kay. Oh, just me. I know it's four-wheel drive, Dave, but track limits are track limits.
Yeah, I don't think it's an off-road four-wheel drive. You're not designed rally spec.
Yeah, certainly not. Oh, yeah, have a look there. Caracon-Stantis had to lift off slightly on the exit just to
The run.
the car going. Yeah. Of course, the Audi punching a huge hole through the air. It looks like Dave Oliver is going to go back through unless Dan can come back at him coming into the chicane. They're going to go side by side.
That's a real painful spot to go because you don't really want to run wide there because that just makes that really sharp chicane even sharper, and Oliver obviously goes through because of The very, very slow speed that Dan would have had to go there.
Yeah, certainly. But once again, it's not over. I think Dave might be having a little bit of trouble shifting. Of course, it's easy to miss gears in the Audi. Unless you use the clutch just right, slip it into gear at just the right time. Not sure how accurate his throttle is from my end, but it sounds like he's sort of lifting off a little bit in the middle of gears. So I don't know, that might be nothing, but nonetheless, the battle is still very tight.
Yeah, could also be just making sure he doesn't want to blow the car up too, because you can shift a little bit too hard, put a little bit too much throttle on between gears. It's very, very easy to blow any of these cars up in iRacing. So, as we've already seen tonight.
Yeah, we certainly have, of course. With the Nissan, it can happen a little more easily because the Nissan has a dog box. So you don't have to use the clutch in the Nissan, you just slip it into gear. Just a lift of the throttle.
Guys are trying to spread out a little bit, but Dan's got a run here once again.
Been a
great battle.
Lift. Yeah. Certainly is a fantastic battle between these guys happening right now.
Especially with how tough this car is to drive, to see these guys.
Oh, yeah.
Fight. All right, we're back. We're back. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on. Good to see I'm having PC issues once again. Here we go.
Dan
battle on once again.
Go through. Yep. So through, he is going to go on the inside into turn one. Looks like he's going to get the move done before the corner. So Oliver's just going to slot in behind. Oh no! What happened to Dan?
That's a bit strange. He may have got a slowdown penalty or... Not sure.
I think he missed a gear. Listening to him, it sounds like he missed a gear. Well, unfortunately, that's put paid to the lead battle in the Audi class once again.
Well, that battle will continue once again.
Oh, yeah. Well, looking around for any close battles, it looks like Corey Ott is in the midst of some action. Oh, a little bit of contact at Ascari between Ott and looked to be Bruce Ross. No, not Bruce Ross, sorry. Kolstad, Ryan Kolstad.
Nathan Anderson, Dean Ross is definitely not over as well, because Dean Ross has got it down to 8 seconds or so. There's only 14 minutes left in this race now, so I'm not sure if that will go on once. But Michael Thomas, Ryan Kolstad, very, very close for 4th and 5th in class.
Yeah, these guys have been going at it pretty much the whole race, haven't they?
That's for sure. It's been really, really cool. As we've been saying, there's been battles the whole way through the field this entire race now. Something's happening with the vision, but I think we've still got audio coming through. Please let us know. I'm not sure what's happening. You can still hear us. Please let us know. This happened to Warren 505. He has stopped on the side of the road. He's actually fine.
Oh yeah, and that's in a very awkward place. Exit Parabolica, and Clint Smith is going to come up behind him and pass.
Dean Ross has just set the fastest lap of this entire race, a 1:37.8, and he's got that gap down to 5.5 seconds.
Ooh.
When I said it wasn't over, and then it was over, it's now not over again.
And it might have just gotten a bit closer to being over once again, because I heard Dean Ross miss a gear on the start, on the run out of the first chicane. So these manual transmission cars, they've been catching their drivers out a little bit, especially over the course of such a long race. It gets quite easy to miss a gear or mistime your shift. Of course, in the modern cars, the Ferrari and the HPD, you don't need to worry about shifting at all. You're just pulling paddles. The car does the rest for you, but the drivers in the Audi and the Nissan, absolutely hat off to those guys to be able to keep going as long as they have in this car. I wonder how many of them are actually running with proper H shifters in their rigs.
I know if I was racing it and I had one, I'd be making sure I use it. I always loved using the H-pattern shifters on cars that really had one. Gap now down to 2.9 seconds between Anderson and Ross.
Oh yeah.
That lap by, he gained 3.5 seconds. I'm wondering if Anderson is a little short on fuel.
Yeah, I've noticed, looking at Anderson, he has been lifting off a bit in some short runs.
Sounds like he's short shifting as well. Especially
Oh,
the low revs as well.
Yeah, have a look at that. Look at Dean Ross. He is gaining on him massively now. Directly in sight. Tell you what, Jay, we were talking before the broadcast about what goodies we had to keep us energized during the broadcast. As Nathan Anderson,
the leading Audis have both stopped. The leading Audis have both crashed.
Oh no!
Both of them have crashed. I'm not sure whether into each other, but they've both crashed.
Oliver's smoking.
Same point on the track.
Oh wow! Okay. That demands a cut price replay.
Yep. Oh, Oliver's hit the wall.
Oh no!
And as he's come back out on the track, it's taken out Dan.
It's something that we've seen quite a few times before in this race. A faster class car going to pull out from behind a slower class one and tagging them as a result. Gene Fiddy's caused that.
Wow.
Or did he? You know what I think happened there? Oliver missed a gear.
Yep.
Oliver missed a gear on the exit of Ascari, and I'm sorry, Gene, for calling you out on that the first time round. I don't think there was anything you could have done there. Just taken by surprise with Oliver missing a gear, and wow, what a smash. So
we're getting a lot of replays here because this is like a race-changing moment, especially in this class.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't think he's actually missed a gear. I think it's just to the point that he was off the throttle to change gears. I don't think Fiddies was expecting that at all. But both of the leading Audis now in the pits. Paul Lockley, who's one lap behind these guys, he has the potential to actually come back through and take this lead in that class.
yeah, and after the race Paul Lockley's had, getting involved in some large hits himself, what a fairy tale ending that would be.
Amazing, man. They've got 8 minutes left in this race. The battle for the lead in the Nissans is on once again.
Yep, and Anderson's just getting held up slightly behind this Ferrari. Ross is probably going to come through here at Parabolica.
I think this will be done right now, and there it is.
Yep. So the two teammates, Anderson and Ross, going side by side down to Parabolica.
Oh, it's not
Hold
over.
up.
It's
Whoa,
not over.
Anderson trying to hold it around the outside, and he's going to gain on exit. What?
Yeah, how did that happen?
I thought you were saving fuel, Nathan. What are you doing, mate?
Maybe he's saved enough now and he's got enough to push on. But Ross is going to get it down into turn one here.
Yeah, he certainly is. Dean Ross goes through. And that's your top two on screen right there in the Nissan class. Oh, dear. And have a look at the amount that Ross is gaining on Anderson out of the turn. Having said that, Anderson's almost coming back on him here.
Yeah, this is strange. This is different. This is unexpected.
I literally don't know what's going on. This is new. Has Dean Ross gotten a slowdown? It is.
We've only got 7 minutes left in this race. Apologies, we're having issues with the vision side of the stream. It's cutting in and out, but you can still hear us. So we'll keep trying to describe what's going on as best as we can. When you can't see what's happening, we'll try and keep you up to date. This is a really cool battle now.
Yeah, it certainly is. It looks like Nathan Anderson, he might have been saving fuel.
I'm fairly sure that he has been.
Yeah, just
Just
saving up a little bit to go all out at the end.
Yeah, it makes sense in the respect that now he's got pace once again. He's slowing down for a few laps and showing some quite slow pace, but now he's right on the tail once again of Ross now that he got through and holding with him, whereas before he was 3, 4, 5 seconds off the pace.
Yeah, that's bizarre. Well, we haven't got much left in this race now.
Paul Lockley's going to take the lead in the Audi class as well.
Wow.
Here we go. Side by side coming into one. No, pulls out of it. Good decision from Anderson there. I thought he was just going to chuck it up there, but pulled out of it. Good decision.
Yep, certainly. Oh, have a look there at Anderson just struggling to keep the rear end under control out of the chicane. As they pass a Ferrari. Adam Kudra, who, well, the last 90 minutes for him have been eventful to say the least.
For sure.
Tell you what, coming from almost nowhere, Ryan Schweitzer in the HPD class is looking good to take second.
He's just stayed out of trouble. And, got a fairly big gap back to the next car behind in class. Around about 40 odd seconds. But here we go. Ross and Anderson down the front straight in the draft again. 5 minutes left on the clock.
Yep, they got an Audi letting them through into the first chicane. Oh, they get so close on the exit, but then Ross just pulls out a little bit on the exit. But have a look at Anderson in the slipstream. Oh, wow, what a run he's got here.
Too bad he's got it at the wrong spot, though.
Brakes.
It's such a hard place to pass there, so probably got that great run, just not at the spot he wanted. We're ticking out of 4 minutes on the clock.
And we'll see it here once again. Oh no, Ross just taking a little too much on the exit. Anderson definitely better under brakes. But on exit, we see Ross pull off. Right now, it looks like this is indeed the closest battle on track. It seems like every other battle, bar probably Michael Thomas and Ryan Kolstad in the HPDs.
Yeah, they're still going at it pretty hard, but I think we'll stay with Anderson and Ross for the moment because this is for a class win.
It definitely is.
There'll be about 3 laps left in this race, maybe 4, probably 3. 3 minutes and 4 seconds left on the clock. Anderson got a better run through the second part of the chicane, but had nowhere to go other than tag the back of Ross. Pulled out of it. Look at the gap now. Lost a little bit of speed there.
Yeah, it's all about that run, all about sacrificing that speed to get the good run off the corner, and Ross did that very well.
Oh, Kolstad making a move, or thought about making a move on Thomas.
Oh,
pulled out of it.
Thomas, oh, I thought for a second Thomas was going to go for the pits there, but Apparently not. Oh,
Oh, big
Kolstad,
dive!
big dive!
Whoa! And he,
Whoa!
oh, can't
They're
pull it
gonna make
up.
contact.
Oh, and that's going to
Michael's-
hurt Thomas too because,
That
oh,
is.
big
Oh,
moment!
look out!
Oh,
Jeez,
wow.
guys, calm down.
I think they just realised there's 2 minutes left on the clock. And
Oh boy.
this is not for a podium position though. This is for sixth and seventh outright, fourth and fifth in class. Kolstad now lost a heap of time, but I think Kolstad's got the pace. Not over with, I think, 2 laps, maybe 3 for these guys.
Yeah, and with Thomas running over those anti-cuts at the chicane, he will have floor damage.
Yep.
And of course, the HPD.
Oh, Kolstad, all sorts of sideways. Go back to Anderson and Ross though, drafting down the front straight.
Looks like Anderson is just gearing up for a big dive on the last lap at some point. As they pass what looks to be Fiddies.
Oh,
Of course, awkwardly
Anderson
jumping over those curves. Wow.
just threw it over the curbs.
Difficult to do in the Nissan. It's so stiffly sprung, this car. We'll have a look at the run here. He's going to lift off before Ascari. They're just going to stay line astern through this last chicane. How long have we got to go, Jay?
You're at 24 seconds on the clock, so Fabian is on the second part of the track. There we go, car blowing up in the background. It's car 12 of... Who that was?
Car 12,
May.
that's an Audi. Yes.
But Fabian just coming through the back section of the track here. This is the final lap of the race. The clock has hit 0. But Fabian will bring around one more corner to go. Great drive from him. Pit strategy is what's won him this race. And that black cat never come out on the track in the end, which is good to see.
Yep, certainly is. Fantastic run from Joseph Fabian all through this race. Proving that he is one of the best prototype drivers in the AusNZ community. He weaves across the track in celebration, and Joseph Fabian is going to take the win here. The Aussie Mixed and Fixed iRacing League 5th anniversary event at Monza. Loses control.
Stay across the line. That's how you do it.
Yep, but the battle is not over for the win in the Nissan class. It is the final lap for these guys. It's Dean Ross versus Nathan Anderson. And if Anderson wants to do anything about taking this class win, he has to do it soon. Parabolica will be his best chance.
Yeah, I think he's going to have to try and make sure he gets a run. Come out the Parabolica. We've seen him hold it around the outside, so he might even have to try and chuck it around the outside, because Ross will probably defend. He's made a mistake. And here we go. It's on.
Oh, it definitely is.
Oh,
Oh,
Ross
Ross
is
is
running
making
wide.
another mistake.
As I
Here we
said,
go. Nathan Anderson.
If
Oh,
Anderson can
no.
get the side, Anderson's
He's
slowing
He's
down.
slowing. Oh, no. Has he
Is he out of
run
fuel?
out of fuel?
Maybe
No.
not,
No. What is going on?
Form finish for the
I
team.
think, yeah, form finish certainly
Good
is.
teamwork.
That's what. Yeah. Looks to be a nice form finish here for Ross and Anderson. We were getting all excited about it, but Dean Ross and Nathan Anderson taking a 1-2 finish for their team. Fantastic stuff from those guys to keep it under control.
Galente coming through the last section of the track. He's going to finish 9th outright, picking up the win in class in the DP field. Even if he crashes out now, he will still be the winner in class because Smith has already crossed the line. So Galente is the winner in the DP class, even if he doesn't make it home from here. So well done to him. Matthew Kidd has just crossed the line, form finish with his teammate, but Kidd picks up the win in that class. And Paul Lockley has won in the Audi. That's a Bradbury drive if ever you've seen one. Actually ended up winning by 3 laps in the end, just by making sure he finished.
Wow, that's absolutely crazy. I mean, that Audi race was probably the most dramatic out of out of all the classes in this event, of course, with Dan and Dave having that really huge incident out of Ascari and taking them both out of the race effectively. So Paul Lockley, once again, to finish first you must finish. And I guess he's proved that well and truly tonight.
It sounds so cliche, but how many times do we say it, and how often is it true? But we'll run through the results. The top 10 on screen at the moment. Joseph Fabian picking up the win. Ryan Schweizer in second position, leading the Nissan class third outright. Dean Ross, fourth position outright. Second in class is Bruce Ross, Michael Thomas, Ryan Kolstad, all in the HPD class. Gene Fitties, third in the Nissan class, eighth outright. Then Sal Galente and Clint Smith coming home ninth and 10th, first and second in the DP class.
Corey Ott is going to complete the DP class podium in 11th outright with Scott McKee and Warren Koge behind him. Matthew Kidd picking up the win in the Ferrari class, taken 14th outright, 4 laps down on the leaders. Shane Witt and Colin J. Herman completing the Ferrari podium with Chris Whitaker, Jason Peters, the DP of James McKee, and Javin Wood completing the top 20.
Yep, then next we've got Adam Kutra. And Paul Lockley, as we said, picking up the win in the Audi class. Amazing for him to be able to do that. Just finishing the race was all he had to do. That was enough. Got Dan Caracon. Yep, help me race.
Caracon Stantis.
Yep, there you go. Caracon Stantis. There you go. I said it that time. Dave Oliver next. So they're the podium in the Audi class. Edward Van Velsen, unlucky for him, blowing up the car. And Boifa, Luke May, Jonathan Turner, Paul Jones, Craig Kolstad, rounding out the next few cars. The rest of the field did not start, but what an absolutely fun night of racing we've had.
Yeah, that was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I'll be honest with you. This race definitely exceeded my expectations. This was super exciting, seeing close battles all throughout the field, even between classes, and just highlighting the differences between these classes that the guys at the Aussie Mixed and Fixed iRacing League run. Absolutely brilliant 5-year anniversary celebration from these guys. Here's to 5 more at this rate. A fantastic night of racing for everyone. And we definitely hope that you guys watching the broadcast all around the world on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube enjoyed it as well, as much as we did.
Yeah, it's been good fun. Hopefully we'll get a couple of drivers in for that interesting event. And again, our apologies for the vision issues that we've had tonight. After this race finishes, I'm actually off to format my computer ready for tomorrow. So that's my night done, Reese.
Yeah, all right. Well,
What a fun
hopefully,
night I've got.
yeah, certainly. Hopefully you manage to get that sorted out in due time, and we can go back to some lovely, smooth broadcasts. Well, having a look down in the awaiting interviews channel here on our Discord, it looks like Paul Lockley might be in there awaiting an interview.
I'm not sure who's in there. I can't really work out who's who out of the guys that are there. There are a couple of guys that finished. Hopefully we've got Paul. Are you there, Paul?
Yeah, mate, you there?
Yep,
Got you,
we
mate.
certainly are. Paul
Congratulations.
Lockley. Yeah, absolutely fantastic race from you, Paul. Did you think you'd come away with the Audi win after the race that you'd had?
Nah, no way. I didn't deserve to win that race. I was probably one of the slowest Audis on the field.
But
I just got
either
lucky
way-
at the end, I think.
we always say to finish first, first you must finish. It's so cliche, but you just proved exactly why you need to stay out of trouble and get home.
Well, that's what I come to do. All I want to do is finish and just run a nice, clean race. And that's what I did. So, ended up at the top. So that's it. I'm good with that.
Brilliant stuff, Paul. Well, yeah, usually I follow up with a question about the next round of the championship, but I'm embarrassed to admit that I actually don't know what is going to happen next for this league. So might we see you in the future?
Absolutely. This is my first race in this sort of class, and I really enjoyed it. And I'll definitely be back to do another one for sure.
Fantastic stuff, Paul. Well, yep. You can take it from me. The Audi is a fantastic car to drive, and it's incredibly fun to master. So hopefully we see you around the track in the Audi again. Thank you for joining us, and congratulations once again on the win. And it looks like Paul has muted his microphone, so that's the end of that interview with him. Who should we bring in next, Jay?
I can see Sal is in.
He certainly is. All right. Getting into the commentary box, Sal Galenti. Sal, do you have us?
Yep.
Congratulations on the win in the Daytona prototype class. You were involved in some pretty intense battling with Clint Smith all throughout, but yeah, looked like a pretty good race from your end.
Yeah, it was very involved. Clint, very, very fast, very quick driver. So I'm pretty sure he had something go wrong or something in a pit stop. So I think he had to make a second pit. That's the other reason I got in front of him. But yeah, very, very classy driver, mate. So
Brilliant stuff from you and Clint. Well, did it looked like, yeah, as you said, a very intense battle throughout the race between you and Clint, but yeah, we noticed that Clint was saving fuel. Do you think it might have continued to the end had he not had his unfortunate second pit stop?
oh, most definitely. I was trying to save a little bit of fuel, but then my fuel numbers are looking pretty good. But yeah, through the mid race, he was right behind me, and then he just overtook me like crazy. So yeah, he had the pace for sure. So
All right, well, are you a regular competitor in this series, Sal?
yeah, yes, for the AMF, yes, I am. Yep.
All right. Well, obviously you're very familiar with this kind of racing, and I guess this fifth anniversary event went off very nicely. So you're looking forward to 5 more years.
Oh, most definitely. Like I said, great bunch of blokes. Anyone's looking to join it or anything, yeah, best bunch of blokes you're going to meet, and really hard racing and fair racing. So that's what I love about this series.
Fantastic stuff, Sal. Well, congratulations on your win in the Daytona prototype class. Hopefully, we see you around.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That was Sal Galenti, your Daytona prototype class winner. And it looks like we have our Nissan class winner in the commentary box with us now, Dean Ross. Wow, you qualified on overall pole, and you were hit down the order quite a bit, but you came back up again to take the win. Congratulations.
Yeah, cheers. It looked a bit bleak at the start there. A couple of laps in, got a hit, spun it round, and I thought it was all over. But then Eddie had his own dramas, and yeah, just pushed hard at the end there with fresh tyres. And Nathan had to save a bit of fuel, so I was chatting to him and geeing him up on Discord, and coming home with the win, which was pretty good.
Excellent stuff, and it looked like we did get a bit excited in the commentary box on the last lap because it looked like you guys were going to have a hell of a battle, but it looked like you went for the form finish.
Yeah, we G'd that up with about 3 or 4 laps to go. Even before I called him, I said, no matter which way it goes, we'll do a form finish, do a bit of showing off to CMSR. So yeah, it looked good, I hope.
Yeah, it certainly did. Those two same livery Nissans crossing the line in a form finish. Well, this race, obviously the 5th anniversary celebration race of the Aussie Mixed and Fixed iRacing League, a fantastic way to celebrate 5 years of this league. And wow, I mean, I'm finding myself wanting to race. How is it?
Yeah, it's getting bigger all the time. And when I joined up probably 18 months ago, and it was just a pretty close knit group, and it still is. It's fair racing, and if you stuff up, you say I stuffed up, sorry about it, and no one really, it's not for sheep stations, but everyone has a great fun, and Justin does an awesome job. So cheers again, Justin, and yeah, can't wait for the next 5 years.
Brilliant stuff. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Dean. Congratulations once again on the win and the 1-2. And yeah, hope you enjoyed the racing, and hopefully you can enjoy watching the broadcast later on.
Yeah, can't wait. Cheers, guys.
Dean Ross, your winner in the Nissan class. And for our final interview tonight, we'll bring in our HPD class winner, Joseph Fabian. Joseph, congratulations. Overall win, HPD win. You look like you had your work cut out for you early on, though, with your battle there with Edward Van Velsen.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, it was pretty chaotic with 5 different classes, especially when the top 2 classes were like less than a second separated. And we make up time at completely different parts of the track, so there's some sketchy moments. And as you saw, maybe I hit Ross as well, but glad that all ended up well for both of us.
Well, Joseph, course, having encountered you in our exploits in the Endurance Sports Car Championship, I know that that Redback liked to stretch the tires a bit, and you obviously didn't take tires in your pit stop. So, how was the car handling towards the end? I know that Van Velsen did gain a little bit on you, but ultimately you came out on top.
I mean, we normally don't need to change tires in this car. It helps, I guess, you're a little bit more comfortable if you take the tires, but in terms of lap time, it's only worth a couple of tenths normally. And I knew that, I'm not exactly sure who was behind me, but they were in a point where if they chose to skip the tires and I took the tires, they could have gotten very close to me. So I thought a safer bet is to just go no tires and hang on around for the second stint, and it worked out all right.
All right. Well, fantastic stuff once again, Joseph Fabian. Congratulations on the win overall and class. And hopefully see you on the track at some point in the SCC. And we'll see you next time on the broadcast.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good one.
And that brings to a close our interviews for tonight. Well, Jay, that was a brilliant race.
Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that. Fantastic night of racing, and I'm really looking forward to more special events in the future. We've got another special event next Saturday night. We are bringing the repeat. The washout happened last time in the Australian 360 Sprint Car Championship. We've got the rerun next Saturday night. So racing doesn't end here at V8 Online. Got tomorrow night. We've got Porsche Carrera Cup once again. Reese, you'll be jumping in the booth once more for that. I'm really looking forward to Lime Rock tomorrow night. That'll be fun. V8's at Bathurst on Monday night. We've got Formula Renault on Wednesday, IMSA Thursday, and of course there's a Saturday night. And then we actually get a Sunday off next weekend. Believe it.
Oh, really?
I'm having a Sunday off. My first
Wow.
Sunday night off in other than when I've been unwell in a long time. So I'm really looking forward to next Sunday. That'll be good.
Yeah, get a little bit of a rest from your hard work
I'll probably find
directing
something
these
to race.
broadcasts.
I'll find something to race, so I'll still be streaming. Don't worry.
All right. Well, the Sads on Twitch. Check out Jay for more fun and the
Puns.
pun wall behind him as well.
The
Yes.
very bad pun wall. If you have watched my streams, you'll see my terrible puns on my pun wall. If you want to have your pun feature, I'm always looking for content.
Yeah. Well,
I
we'll
haven't
see
had
what
any yet,
happens in
so
regards to that. Well, hopefully we get some more of that very soon. Well, either way, I think it's about time we wrap this up, Jay. Thank you very much for joining me in the commentary box. And of course, thank you very much for your directing and streaming of this race. Without you, we actually wouldn't have any broadcast to speak of, and I'd just be speaking to thin air.
I'll thank you for everyone for watching, and thank you for everyone for being so patient with the issues I've had tonight. I'm going to format my computer as soon as this broadcast ends, and we'll see. Hopefully I'll have fixed all the issues, and if not, we'll have to eliminate something else.
I can words good. I'm really getting tongue tied here at the end,
It's
Jay.
dinner time
But
for you, mate. It's dinner time for you.
it certainly is. I need to get something in me. I'm going to go and do that. But first, we will say goodbye to all of you. Thank you very much for watching once again. And of course, be sure to check out the Aussie Mixed and Fixed iRacing League if you want to have a look at more racing of this kind. Get involved yourself, perhaps. The drivers have said it is getting bigger, and it's a very nice casual atmosphere. So be sure to check it out if you wish. You've been watching the Aussie Mixed and Fixed iRacing League 5th anniversary race here at Monza on V8's Online. I've been Reese Gardner. Joining me in the commentary box and directing has been Jay Kennedy. Once again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.